Welcome to another episode of Core Living. And tonight, I'd like to ask you a question. What role does the news play in your life, if any at all? And should it? When I was a kid, I used to watch my parents watching the news and I found it boring as hell. But as you mature and you grow up, you start to pay attention more to the things that are going on around the world. The more you have to engage with it, with society, with business, you see how you're tied to it. And you want to know who's pulling the strings, what's going on with the news. And I think there used to be a day and age where you turned on the TV, you listened to the news, and because you didn't have the exposure to all the other sources of media and facts, you didn't have the internet back then. You used to just take, I think, the news at face value. Oh, this is what's happening in my local neighborhood, my province, or my state, or my country. And if it was really important, something from around the world. And based upon what you saw on the news, you would try to, take what they were saying and whatever knowledge you had and make a conclusion or a decision about what you thought about that. But things have become a lot more complex. And now, with social media and all the stuff I mentioned, you really, if you're going to be watching this material, if you're going to be engaging with it, I think you need to really try and step back and take a holistic approach where you don't just watch one source, but you try to watch as many as you can without wasting your life, if you can do that. And try to make a calculated decision based upon the whole picture. Now it seems like the main news sources, they're more opinion pieces. They will have their classic stories, and it'll be this long opinion about what the newscaster feels about that subject. And it really feels like these sources are trying to target certain groups. It feels like there's an agenda. And if you're only targeting one group out there, and if you're only peddling the same thing over and over again, I think people start to get sick of that after a while. They tend to get bored. And with there being so many options out there, they're starting to go to other sources to see what other people have to say. They don't want to hear the same opinion over and over again. And I think that's important when you're getting your news. To try and hear what everyone's trying to say. I think it's dangerous to settle in and be watching the same newscasts or reading the same newspapers week in and week out over and over again. I think you're going to start to become very ideological. You're probably going to get brainwashed over a certain period of time if you become too comfortable with that. And I think there's a lot of groups of people out there who that thing has exactly happened to them. I think a lot of trust has been lost with major news sources like Fox News, CNN, MSNBC if you're in the States. In Canada, a lot of people are starting to lose trust with networks like CBC, Global News, CTV. Less and less people are tuning into this stuff. And if you go online and you watch any of their stuff, you'll notice that on a lot of them the comments are turned off because of the trashing that goes on about these news networks. Not all of them. Some of them leave them open. At least I'll give the global news. They at least leave the comments on for people to bash them. And you'll also notice that there's like a war amongst these mainstream media sources. Fox News will do a piece on like how ridiculous CNN is with their fake woke politics and their democratic policies and how they're destroying the fabric of America. And then, CNN, it's like turned into a 24/7 Donald Trump bashing session. And I think for a while, I think they did really good on that, and they don't even know what to do now. Now that Donald Trump's out of office, he's not even there. It's like CNN doesn't even know what to do with themselves, and it's showing in the ratings. I think I can't. I'm just going off of what I heard here, so you'd have to double check this yourself. But I heard that CNN wasn't even pulling 1 million viewers on their primetime shows, which is hilarious. Not even 1 million viewers. And I'm sure Fox is not doing much better. Listening to these Don Lemon and Anderson Cooper, Chris Cuomo drone on about the same things over and over and over again. The GOP, so evil. And then Fox News, they're just as bad. They do the same shit. Tucker Carlson, he's hilarious. I love that face he does when he has someone from the opposition on the other screen. He does this face, this like frowny, his eyes go down and he gets all intense and he looks into the camera like the other person's an idiot for saying their opinion on something. It's amazing he can even get guests who are willing to. In these little sound bites too, right? It's always like, 3 minutes, 5 minute sound bites. You can't have a proper conversation in that limited amount of time. And yet they'll throw this stuff up on, their channels, on their websites, on YouTube. Tucker, he did this piece it was actually a good piece. He did it. But it was trashing CNN. Saying, talking about all the stuff I just said about how they talk about all these same subjects and how radical they've become and so one-sided. But the thing that was funny about it was that all the stuff he was saying about CNN is stuff that he's doing on his channel. And he couldn't. It's funny how the blinders are so deep. They're on so thick that you can't see that he's making it. All the stuff he's saying about CNN is the exact same stuff he's doing. Just it's same shit, just different pile. But yeah, and one thing that surprises me in the day and age that we live in now is that people seem to be okay, or that they're just so busy that they can't care about this. But why is it that people are okay with government funding their media? Is that not like a conflict of interest? Is there not some problem there? Does that not bother you that the government can fund all the major media sources in your country? I don't know if this is as big of a problem in the United States. I think there's a dimension of that there, for sure, but it's definitely a big problem in Canada. Government funding media. That is creepy and weird, because how can the media, who's supposed to be keeping the government accountable, how can they do that if the government can threaten them by pulling their funds, the main source of their bread and butter? They can't feed their families if they say something bad about the government, so they have to cater to the government, the ones who are going to give them the most amount of money. I think that definitely should be a problem that is fixed. But yeah, I don't know how you do it, because they need sponsors, they need people to make money. So what happens I think this is what happens in the United States, and you can leave in the comments and correct me if I'm wrong here. But they get a lot of their funding from big businesses. So if there are corrupt businesses out there, like say it's like a big gas company or something like that, that's sponsoring your broadcast, if there's an oil spill or something like that, can they properly, trash a company? Since say it's the company's fault for allowing this oil spill or something like that, can they like report on this stuff properly? If that's what's going on, and what about like pharmaceutical companies? Like I know I see this on CNN all the time. Pharmaceutical companies funding CNN, and I think I heard today that like I don't know, it's like Pfizer was a big one for MSNBC. I could be wrong about that, but I'm sure Pfizer's definitely like I shouldn't say definitely. I really think that Pfizer is definitely paying these media companies to help support them. Which again, is that not like a major conflict of interest? How could you say like, oh, there's something wrong with a drug or something like that if you are being sponsored by them? That's crazy. That's a big problem. There's something that should be looked at, and then you're broadcasting this stuff. And it's amazing how stories get manipulated, how things can be left out of a story in order to make it seem scarier than it actually really is. And don't you notice how there's so much fear-mongering in the media? It's crazy. It's like every story, it's always something negative. How there's, inflation is rising, gas prices are rising, you're not going to be able to buy as much this year for Christmas. It's always something negative over and over, and it's always something bad about what the other side of is doing. It's never like, we have a new innovative idea, and we're advancing humanity, and look at all the good things that this person's doing, and how they're helping out and coming up with solutions. It's always negative, and here's where media can become a problem. This is where we get into the personal development, spiritual side of things. If you're just consuming this stuff constantly, it's going to take a toll. Maybe not immediately, not right away, but over like a long period of time of constantly seeing the same things over and over and over again. It's going to slowly chip away at your soul. And so you do need to take a break from this stuff. You do need to take a step back. I have friends and stuff like that who they will purposely, they'll stay away from all media sources. They'll turn their phones off for like a week. They'll stay away from this crap because it can consume you. And it does bad to your physical health, actually. I was literally just reading before I started doing this broadcast here, this episode, this book on emotional intelligence and how you feel. If your body is constantly anxious, your body is doing certain things to calm your nerves, but while it's doing that, while it's putting all that attention on calming your nerves, it's your immune system's not functioning at top notch. So if you're in a constant state of anxiety and depression, and your body's trying to like always be calming your nerves, your immune system's not working properly. It's not fully functioning. So I think there's something to be said about the content that we're consuming, how much of it. And I definitely notice it in my life. My wife, she's really good. She's like, James, you've been watching too much of that stuff. You got to put it down for a while. So, and I do. I gotta. It's hard because of what I do. I'm always trying to research for content for this channel and everything like that. But I do have to pull myself away from this stuff. Because it's like in your face 24/7. I'm lucky I can at work and stuff like that. I don't just sit and listen to the news. I actually can't even listen to it. There's just so much horseshit. I cannot even listen to it anymore. The propaganda now, it's just I can't. I turn it off. But after work and stuff like that, I come home. I try to get a piece of what's actually going on from the little perspective. Sometimes I just check out the headlines. I'll go to like conservative sites, liberal sites, and then podcasters, and kind of just get a range of what's going on. And that's one thing I definitely recommend. Longer discourse, longer discussions. You cannot come up with the solutions for the world's problems in 5-minute sound bites. It's all it is just show for TV. They bring people on the news. They yell at each other for 5 minutes over their opinions. They get nothing accomplished, and the person at home is just dumber for listening. Go listen to some 3-hour podcasts about real discussions where there's real discourse going on. A really good one that I listened to, I don't know if I've mentioned this. It was one with Joe Rogan and Sanjay Gupta, who is the medical advisor for CNN. What a beautiful discourse! 3 hours where they just talked about their differences on a lot of current issues and stuff like that. I don't even need to mention what's going on, but yeah. They were talking about it, and it was good. It was just a really good discourse. I find one of the obstacles in all of this is that because technology is advancing so fast, those who are older, I find, are struggling to keep up, and it's understandable. I will be there one day too. When I'm older and everything's virtual reality, my kids will be like, "Oh, Dad, you're just not plugged into the metaverse. Just plug yourself in. You'll be able to see so much clearer all the stuff you're not seeing right now." And I feel that there's a little bit of a boundary right now between, the 20 to 50-year-olds and then the 50 and up. Because I feel like there's so much out there that I find it's overwhelming. Not that I'm not ageist. I just find that that's what I see with the people that I know. It could just be the people that I know, but I do think we owe it to our elders and the seniors to help them out as much as you can, and be patient with them, and just show them the other side of the world, and maybe just bring them along with us, and don't force them to try and believe what you believe and all that stuff. Just give them the material you have, and if they want to look at it, they can look at it. If they don't, they can continue on. They've done their part. They've played their role. They were doing their thing just the way that we're doing our thing right now, and they can enjoy their time. But there is a ton of options out there. And I find that you'll do really good to try and take that holistic approach that I was talking about. Try just as many as you can. As many options out there for media. And don't just get stuck. Just because you like hearing something doesn't mean it's right. I have to force myself to listen to other opinions on certain subjects that I don't want to listen to. I will still listen to it. I will always hear you out, even if I don't agree. I don't ever want to be one of those people who turns off and be like, no, my way's the right way. My way's the right way. I think it's good to just always keep that door open, always just a notch, to allow yourself to be able to grow, to be able to be wrong. I could be so wrong about certain subjects in the current state. People who know me know I have my opinions on certain subjects out there, and that's fine. And if I'm proven wrong, that's fine. I will have to eat the humble pie and say I was wrong. Right now, I try to go off of my experiences, like I talk about in most of my shows. Use my intuition, listen to all sides, and get a holistic approach when it comes to media. So you've got lots of options. Like I don't have cable television, so most of those shows I watch on the internet. A lot of the content will be from internet, podcasts, radio, sometimes TV if I'm at someone else's house or something like that. And then I'll look at the major news sources, then the sub news sources under them, and then just search. If you have an opinion or an idea on a subject, say you're like, I think this way about this subject, and I feel that I'm right. Go spend a week studying the opposite information of that thing, and then see what you find. Make your ears bleed. just like study all that stuff and see. It's good for you. I do it, and I encourage others to do it too. So, ask yourself, what role does the media play in your life? Well, anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode of Coral Living. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for every new episode. Also, if you liked it, don't forget to hit the like. And if you have a comment, opinion on this, that you think maybe I missed, or maybe you think I'm wrong about something, it doesn't matter to me. I'd love to hear it. And I guess that's all. So until next week, my friends, stay spiritual.